Production Cup and the Production Sportscar Series. Two exciting races about to start. Let the race begin.
Thanks, Rachel. Jake Sanson here with you. Let's talk you through the grid for the first race of the day. Production Cup and Production Sports Cars on the grid together. Johnson and Robinson lead a Seat front row. In third is the Intersport BMW with the SG Racing Seat in fourth position, ahead of the Jeff Steele BMW in fifth position. Two Seats, Truck Talk and Fold Sport. And then looking through the field, we can see the ING Sport BMW in 11th on the grid. The first of the Production Sports Cars is Richard Bennett, starting 13th on the grid, with Gruchet and Palmer in the top 20 as well. Marcus Vivian heading the back end of the grid with the Works Mazda Motors UK cars, invitational racers for this weekend, with Mildenhall and Alcock and Ticehurst and Hooper about to get a real taste of Britcar Production Sports Cars racing. Both classes out there together to spice up the racing. The officials and the teams and drivers have all agreed to put both championships out at the same time for the first race, and that's going to mean that for the first 45 minutes you'll see both classes racing together. And then you'll see the Production Sports Car boys peel off at the 45-minute mark. Here we go. And at the front, Graham Johnson takes an early lead in the Professional World Expo Seat. Harry Cockill is there alongside him. Adam Hayes in the Intersport trying to move up. Mark Cunningham going it alone in the SG Racing Seat. This time through the corner, Johnson's lost it. Oh my goodness, the man who started from pole position spins right in the middle of the field, and it's going to cause absolute pandemonium. There it is, Lawson gets caught, Gruchet and Bennett all in there. It's absolute pandemonium into turn one. Everybody trying to take avoiding action, and four cars getting caught out. Graham Johnson drops from the first position on the grid down to the back, and now we've got the number 9 of Adam Hayes trying to slot past the 37 of Nigel Moore. Oh, look at the debris and the carnage, and crucially, it's two cars from the Production Sports Car Series that have both gone off together. Richard Bennett, who dominated at Donington Park in both races, is now out at the very first corner on the very first race, and if there's enough damage to put him out of the meeting, well, that really opens up the ballpark for his competitors. Back at the front then, and we can see the only car that's really mixing it in the top 10 that isn't a BMW or a Seat is the 32 car. Darren Cox and Lawrence Wilshire, both members of the Nissan GT Academy in some way or another, going racing for the first time. Oh dear, oh dear, 23, Mark Cunningham gets driven into there by the Seat, and that was Nigel Moore up on the inside, just not enough room, and neither man was willing to give up the corner. But what a recovery from Cunningham. Out of club, the back end steps out, and he says, right, that's how you want to race? I'm coming back at you, sir. And he chases down Harry Cockill. The lead at the moment is the BMW of Adam Hayes in the number 9. We look a little further back, and this is the mix of Production Sports Cars car. That's the 55 of Owen Mildenhall, dicing it out with the 87 of Ryan Stefferty. Up on the inside there as well. Oh, a bit of bodywork hanging off Mike Ticehurst's car. But they're both, all three of them, about to be coming under pressure from Alan James in the Honda Jazz. Here he comes up the inside of all three of them into the first corner. Well, Stefferty doesn't want to play ball. Tyres screeching. I think there was contact between the two of them, and Stefferty, his arm is in the air. What are you doing? I don't care if your car is faster. You've got to play fair. So 3 into 1 down at Stowe. That's not going to work. Eventually Harry Cockill gets the corner from Nigel Moore and Mark Cunningham. This is brilliant. Forget endurance racing. This is more like British touring cars, and they really are making a race of it. That's what's great about the Britcar Production Cup. These boys really will go wheel-to-wheel racing for the entire hour and a half, and they've got driver changes as well to throw into the mix. This is brilliant. So Cockill, Moore and Cunningham fighting it out through the final turn and onto the international pit straight, using the wing complex for the first time in the championship's history. Here comes Cunningham up the inside of Nigel Moore into Abbey Corner. Thank you very much, I'll have the place. And that was very nicely done indeed. Mark Cunningham going it alone this time. Dad's not racing, so Peter will have to be told just how exciting things were by Mark later on. Now Stefferty leading a huge train of cars as Alan James fends off the chasing pack, including Danny Innes in the Invitational Redline Tuning Seat. The Mazda's getting involved there, and round the outside comes the Vauxhall Astra of Andy Yule, the Intersport racing car. Oh, and that really is a sorry sight. That's the ING Sport car of Ian Lawson and Anthony Wilds, and it looks like we've got one of the Ginettas in the pits. I can only guess that's David Barker in the TCS car, I think, having made his way into the pits. So problems for them, either that or a very early pit stop. Can't really see anybody making any strategic changes this early in the race. Of course, everybody might want to make the pit stop bang on the 45-minute mark. As up the inside goes Mark Cunningham in the 23, who's having a great comeback. In fact, he's caught up with number 9, Adam Hayes. He really is chasing hard here for the lead of this race, despite having coming together earlier on with Nigel Moore. Not only has he got past him, look, he's left him for dead. A little further down the order, Johnson is recovering well with Simmons just in front of him in the BMW. Now we're up amongst the Production Sportscar boys. That's the 86 of Alan Broad. And running wide, that's the Ginetta pulling off. That's the Ginetta G20 pulling off there. And that's Marcus Vivian in the Reflex car, Class 3 in the Production Sports Cars. That can't be going well for him at all there. I have a feeling that could be the end of his day's work. It's only a 45-minute race, so you're not going to see that go much further. Michael Simmons, though, on his own again, as Keith Webster is not here. Jeff Steele Racing wanting to see just what he can pull out of the bag. Graham Johnson fending him off as much as he can, but down towards Stowe, it's no contest. And up the inside, Michael Simmons grabs the place, and he looks like he's going to get Alan James as well in the synchro on the Jazz. Absolutely amazing. Great driving from Michael Simmons. We know this boy can drive. He was part of the winning team in last year's 24 Hours at Silverstone as he goes up the inside of Ryan Sefferty's Mazda as well. So out of the turn, it looks like Johnson's going to get on terms with Sefferty as well. Up the inside. Oh, that's a really sorry sight. Marcus Vivian with a long way to push that car back to the pits. He's given up. There's no point even trying at this point. Now we're looking at the 56, Robert Day, behind the Think BDW BMW car. And chasing down Graham Johnson on the hangar straight. Now Graham has had a rather torrid time of things since the start. Pole position, of course, in qualifying. But things not going so well for them in the start of the race for the professional Expo TCR car. And at the moment they are quite vulnerable to Robert Day's charging. The BMW pushing very hard. And into the pit lane for the first pit stop comes the 88. That's Mike Gorton in the MGA Motorsport car to hand over to Nicola Gillett, although that's not exactly the sign they wanted to see. Some smoke or steam or something coming off the car, but no doubt that will be a driver change. So Nicola Gillett getting involved in the MGA Motorsport Challenge now. 45 minutes, of course, is as long as those cars are going to run. We've got a great battle developing here as Cunningham makes the move on the 49 of Danny Innes. Round the outside, has he got him? Yes, indeed, out of Village. And now it looks like Harry Cockill's going to lap him as well. Up the inside. Thanks for the memories, mate. I'll just streak past. And down the hangar straight he goes in pursuit once again of the hard-charging Mark Cunningham. Adam Hayes in the Intersport Racing BMW is actually behind these two now. So Adam Hayes has dropped to third position. That's put Cunningham up in the lead. We didn't see it, but that's your new leader, Mark Cunningham in the 23. Racing alone this weekend. You can do that in the Britcar Production Cup. Used to be able to in the MSA British Endurance Series. Now you can't, of course. And this is number 5, Mark Ticehurst, making his move on the 91 Mini of Duncan Rogers. Up the inside he goes as the back bumper threatens to part company with the car down the main straight, and that's a wise move. Duncan Rogers in the Mini pulls out of the slipstream. He does not want that bumper to fly into the radiator if he can possibly help it. And big dice here up the inside, Nigel Moore and Danny Innes going wheel to wheel. Nigel Moore goes through. Nigel Moore assisting Henry Dawes in the Track Talk Seat this weekend. A guest drive for Nigel Moore. Great to see him in an international championship again. And he's doing a brilliant job out there in the Track Talk Seat. Now into the pit lane. That's Alan Broad in the Porsche 924. So into the pit lane he comes. And we're going to look back again and see Rogers battling it out with a BMW this time. It's the 66 car of Nick Adams, the Daymax run machine. And that's a fairly new car to the championship. You can see the yellow cross on the back of the car. That means they are still relative rookies in the world of motor racing. The 87 comes in. So that's Ryan Sefferty, no doubt to hand over to Dave Whitmore in the MGA Motorsport Mazda. Up the inside, that's a nice move there from the Nissan. That's the RJN car. Darren Cox, the Nissan UK boss, assisted by Lawrence Wiltshire, who is the head of Nissan's GT Academy program. Great to see them actually going racing for once rather than being all administrative. and they're doing a fine job out there. 8th in qualifying, and now they're still amongst the top 10. Down the main straight, that's one of the other BMWs moving their way forward. Michael Simmons still chasing behind Danny Innes, but the number 10 car of Barclay Dougall making great progress. Privately run car, privately entered car as well, and Barclay getting on with things very fast indeed behind Michael Simmons. Squabbling pack. Johnson still fighting with Robert Day as Simmons makes his move on the inside of Barclay Dougall, as Dougall hangs it round the outside. I think he's going to make it out of club. And now we've got a 3 BMW fight down the main straight, and Dougall is the one who gets away with it. Day goes round the outside into the first corner at Abbey through Farm, and it's looking very good indeed for the number 10 as Barclay Dougall runs at the front of this train. Adam Hayes is not far up the road in the Intersport either, so Day is behind, then Simmons, then Johnson. Fantastic scrap between the 3 BMWs and Graham Johnson's Seat. Simmons goes wide, and that was very nearly Graham Johnson making up another place on the road as down the hanger straight they fly. Michael Simmons looks like he's got a good run here on Robert Day in the Think BDW car. Down the hanger straight into Stowe corner. He's got the measure of him. Has he got him under braking? Yes, indeed he has. Time for a breather. Don't go away.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back to Silverstone. Some great racing in the first part of the race, and there's certainly been a turn up for the books. Cunningham in the 23 has set this race alight in the SG Racing Seat in a great battle at the moment with Harry Cockill of the Daniels Motorsport HE Racing championship winning car from 2012. These guys really having a great tussle, and here's another one. Already we've got wheel-to-wheel stuff as Andy Yule goes wheel-to-wheel with Graham Johnson. Seat versus Vauxhall. And back at the front, Cunningham and Cockill having a great battle here. Cunningham, of course, got tipped into a spin at the last corner. Oh, dear, oh dear, that's not gone well. Mark Ticehurst in the Mazda Motors UK car. Well, the bonnet straight up in the air. He's not going to be able to see anything, and that's going to be a race retirement, I have no doubt at all, unless he can get out of the car, find some way to put the bonnet back down and get back in again. I'm not sure what the rules are. Well, he's going to cruise into the pit lane, but it looks like they've had more than just a problem with the bonnet. I think they've actually run into something or someone, so that race is well and truly run. Now we've got a pair of BMWs double timing the entire field here as Adam Hayes battles with Barclay Dougall, and they end up lapping a huge gaggle of cars led by Duncan Rogers in the Intersport Mini. Now here comes Ticehurst into the pits. Now are they going to be able to repair that car and hand it over to David Hooper, or is that going to be the end of their race? It's touch and go at the moment. Dougall trying to make his move on the inside of Adam Hayes, but he can't get through there. That's not going to be a productive manoeuvre. Simmons and Johnson in the background ready to poise as well. Here they come into the first corner. Through Stowe, then flat out through Farm. Quick left kink, then braking down towards the village corner. These boys have already gone. Hayes and the number 10 of Dougall. Is Barclay Dougall going to make the run here? He's got a great run out of the link and down the hanger straight. He could use Alan Broad's Porsche to his advantage. I think that might actually have given Hayes the upper hand there, because they both had to swerve out of the way to avoid him, of course, and that means that they've lost a little bit of momentum. But into the right-hander at Stowe, and Dougall swarming all over the back of Adam Hayes. We have always figured the Intersport as the established guard, and here comes Barclay Dougall in a privately entered BMW up the inside. Cheers for that, you left all the space in the world, and into the right-hander, the left-hander, looking very sweet indeed. Through the right-hander at club now, and Dougall has the upper hand here. That's surely going to head him closer to the top 3 overall. Now here's the 99 coming in. Chrissy Palmer leading the way in the Production Sportscar Championship. He has to come in, of course, for his mandatory pit stop, even though he's got nobody to hand over to. Johnson finally down the inside of Simmons. Nice move into the link and down the hanger straight, and he's got plenty of speed. Well, this is unusual for the Jeff Steele Racing BMW. Michael Simmons is normally in much better company in terms of speed than he is at the moment. It seems not all of the horses haven't turned up to power his BMW. He just seems to be getting completely outclassed here. trying to come back at Johnson. He just hasn't got anywhere to move at the moment. Oh, and there's something gone. Something's gone. Now that is quite a visible problem there for Simmons. Something smoking out of the back of the car. He's missed the pit lane entry, so he's got a whole lap to go. Something going wrong with the car, and the back end steps out. Simmons in real trouble. Yep, something's gone. I don't think he's going to be able to last the distance at this rate. Huge plumes of smoke. Now something has gone there. Is that electrics? Is that hydraulics? Tough to tell. Safety car comes out. Safety car, safety car. Now, is that for Simmons or is that for a different incident? But anyway, the safety car comes out and Dougal is into the pit lane in the BMW for his pit stop. Hayes is coming in. He's going to hand over to Radcliffe. Johnson's in. He's going to hand over to Mike Robinson. They're all choosing this moment to pit in. The Nissan continues on, so Darren Cox will hand over to Lawrence Wiltshire a bit later. Harry Cockill is still out on the circuit, sorry. So in comes Dougal, in comes Hayes to hand over to Radcliffe. Johnson will give the car to Mike Robinson. Simmons will continue on. No co-driver this weekend, and Robert Day is going to hand over to Paul Phipps. So here come the driver changes. So nearly everybody, choosing this as the moment of truth to make the pit stop. And that means that in the lead of the race at the moment, I do believe, is still the 23 of Mark Cunningham. Now somebody cleaning something off. Oh, that's the number 5 the bumper of Mark Ticehurst's car being removed. I wonder if that was the reason they brought out the safety car. Debris on the circuit. It wouldn't be the first time that safety was the main issue, and they decided to bring a car in. So a few changes made to the setup, not just the tyres by the look of it, of the Graham Johnson and Mike Robinson car. Mike Robinson, of course, is now in it. They've swapped over. And behind the safety car, just a few minutes before the Production Sportscar Series race is due to end. Now we've got 2 Intersport cars in the garage at the same time. So Duncan Rogers hands the Mini over to Danny Russell, just as Hayes hands over the BMW to Mark Radcliffe. They've got to time the pit stop absolutely to perfection. Not only can they not afford to be too slow, they also can't afford to be too fast. They've got a limit on how much time they can spend on the pit lane. There is a minimum time limit as well as a maximum in the eyes of the team. Here they come, and into the pit lane comes the Bubble and Kick BMW. So Tom Howard pits in to hand over to Mike Moss, and that is a very terminal looking end to the race for Michael Simmons. I don't think that car's going any further. Something's definitely gone wrong with the oil on the car. It's all over the pit lane at this precise moment. That's an MOT write-off, if ever I saw one. So Michael Simmons, I don't think that car's going any further. Out onto the circuit goes Mike Moss, having handed over to Tom Howard. Thanks very much for that one. It looks like the Seat Leon is coming in as well. So Chris Hayes looks to have handed over to Andy Thompson. There's the leader in the Production Sports Cars race, and he is about to come through and confirm himself as the winner, I do believe, of the Production Sports Cars race, just as we get Nicola Gillett in the 88 spinning on the way into Club Corner. In comes the Nissan. So that's Darren Cox handing over to Lawrence Wiltshire, and the Production Sports Car Series race still out there. Alan James, yep. The driver's having to wait at the end of the pit lane, of course, as the safety car pulls back in again, so the race has restarted. So the Production Sports Car Series race is going to come to an end, and when it does so, the safety car will come back out, which will just ease the transition as the Production Sports Cars head back into the pit lane. Yep, that looks terminal. I don't think Michael Simmons and the Jeff Steele Racing BMW is going any further. Nobody's working on it. That's the end of their race. Great battle here again between the Seats, and it looks like the ING Sport BMW back out there. Yes, so Ian Lawson, I think he might have handed over to Anthony Wilds by now for the second half of the race. So they're back out there and doing a great job. They're managing to make up for lost time very comfortably. That's Mike Robinson in the Professional World Expo car. Into the pit lane comes the Vauxhall, driven by Andy Yule. Well, it was. It's now going to be handed over to Wayne Schofield. So into the pit lane comes the 53 Intersport Vauxhall out on track. We've got a great battle here between Andy Thompson, and up the inside comes the Bubble and Kick BMW. Mike Moss behind the wheel now. Up the inside, that was very nicely done. Now, did Nigel Moore make his pit stop? I'm not sure he did yet, so hasn't handed over to Henry Dawes just yet. The Track Talk Seat probably going to hit exactly on the 45-minute mark, maybe. Of course, a lot of the teams will know that the safety car will come out again when the Production Sportscar Series race ends, so that could be the optimum moment for a lot of teams to make their pit stop. Some have chosen to come in a little bit early and make their driver change to just settle into a rhythm. There's Mike Robinson, just lapping one of the MGA Mazdas. A little bit of a wobble there from the 99 of Chrissy Palmer, so it wasn't one of the MGA cars, my apologies. It's Chrissy Palmer racing in his own team and in his own car. Nigel Moore bouncing around the back end, stepping out a little bit as he headed towards the link, and then down the hanger straight. So he currently leads this race by virtue of the fact that he hasn't pitted. But he still, of course, has to make his mandatory pit stop. All drivers have to make at least one pit stop in each class, in each category, of both Production Cup and Production Sports Cars. Up the inside, Mike Robinson taking on the 49 of Danny Innes. He doesn't have to make a driver change, but he does have to make a mandatory pit stop, and during that stop, he's going to have to remove those offending pieces of bodywork that are flapping in the breeze. Now, I think I just saw Nigel Moore pitting. I think I just saw the Track Talk Seat make its pit stop. Now, I'm not entirely sure. It certainly looked like a Seat. Now, the checkered flag comes out. Now, the checkered flag is for the Production Sports Car Series race. Safety car comes out. So the winner of the Production Sports Car Series race is Chrissy Palmer. Brilliant drive from Chrissy. Fantastic drive for him. A fantastic run. Some brilliant driving out there from the youngster. And that's exactly what he wanted to see. Alan Broad is second. And Sefferty and Whitmore come home in third position, with the Mildenhall Allcock car, the Invitational, in fourth place, and Nicola Gillett and Mike Gorton finishing off in fifth position. So that's the results for them. The safety car is obviously out on the circuit to escort the Production Sports Cars back into the pit lane for the end of their 45 minutes. Well, this looks like they've already done that. The racing resumes, and the 32 of Lawrence Wiltshire up the inside of the BMW there. Wayne Schofield, bit of a spin there for Mark Radcliffe. I said it was Wayne Schofield in the BMW, my apologies. That's the Intersport racing car. So it was the BMW of Paul Phipps, my apologies. Well, great recovery there from Mark Radcliffe. Into the pits comes Alan James. No co-driver to hand over to in the last race for the Honda Jazz. This is a pretty epic machine. They've done some brilliant run-ins with this car, including the 24 hours last year that they failed to see the finish off, sadly. But it's still a landmark car. They've done some amazing drives in that over the past, and it'll be very sad to see it go. The boys just getting to work on it, sending it out for one last time in the Britcar Production Cup. Now we're looking at Mike Moss in the Bubble and Kick BMW, currently trying to get away from the 23 of Mark Cunningham. He doesn't have Dad Peter to hand over to this time, but he makes a nice clean move up the inside of Club. The only disadvantage, of course, of not having somebody to hand over to is that you've got to work harder for longer. Of the other Seats, Harry Cockill has now handed over to Edward Cockill, and Nigel Moore has now handed over to Henry Dawes. Here comes Radcliffe on the inside of Barclay Dougal, trying to make his move. Does it halfway down the straight. Very nicely done indeed. Now that's Robinson up the inside of Paul Phipps. The racing certainly isn't over yet.
Some of the biggest upheavals in American sports is in the world of motor racing, especially sports car racing. There's mergers, new series being proposed, audiences coming and going, drivers getting younger and younger. That's why you need the Racing Insiders on MAV TV to help you navigate the turmoil. The Racing Insiders is a new, weekly, 30-minute news show covering sports car racing, whether it's being done professionally, globally, or by the local grassroots club. Award-winning journalist Bill Wood will host the weekly discussions, along with race-winning insiders Peter Keene in Florida and Jim Daniels in Tennessee. It's a fast-paced, edgy sports show. They'll even reach out to guest insiders to bring you behind-the-scenes insider information you'll want to know. This new era in sports car racing needs the Racing Insiders.
The Racing Insiders on MAV TV, Thursdays at 2 and 5 p.m. Eastern, and again on Saturdays at noon.
Welcome back to round 2 of the Britcar Production Cup here at Silverstone. We just saw Chrissy Palmer win in race 1 of the Production Sports Cars. Now let's see who takes the overall win in the second round of the Britcar Production Cup. Could be any one of the top 10 at this precise moment. Mark Cunningham in the SG Racing Seat has done a brilliant job all day long, and don't count out these two, battling hard in the Seats. Simon Mason in the Sport car trying to defend from Mike Robinson in the Professional World Expo car. That was the car that started this race from pole position, of course, after that leery spin from Graham Johnson into the first corner. But you know what? Despite spinning right in the middle of the pack, he recovered, and they're back in the game. Now here's Edward Cockill, reigning champion. He and Harry, of course, run by Daniels Motorsport this year, battling it out with Paul Phipps in the BMW. Can they make their move into the first corner here? Into Abbey, and no, the BMW is hanging tough. If you are in the Britcar Production Cup and you want to go for the championship, it's either BMW or Seat for car choice, really. Up the inside comes the Professional World Expo Seat of Mike Robinson, passing Simon Mason in the Sport machine. At the link, down towards Hanger Straight, looking very neat and tidy. As I was saying, 9 times out of 10, drivers will pick either a BMW or a Seat for this championship. There are a few teams that go in a different direction, some in the lower classes, although Nissan have brought an RJN GT Academy car, Darren Cox and Lawrence Wiltshire, and still doing a great job. 2 more Beamers. Anthony Wilds, Father Mike is not racing this weekend, has taken over from Ian Lawson in the ING Sport car, and now they're battling to close in on Mike Moss in the Bubble and Kick car. After their poor start, involved in that first corner melee, they have recovered well. They've only lost about 10 laps. So now they are trying to pick their way through the back markers, including Danny Russell in the Intersport Mini, having taken over from Duncan Rogers. Nice to see the Intersport trying several different directions. They want to have at least one winning racing car in each class this season by the look of it. Cunningham and Cockill as Mark races Edward out of the Vale and down towards Club Corner. Still nice to see the TCS Ginetta out there. Anthony Rogers behind the wheel. And behind them is a new car, the Intersport Vauxhall, driven at the moment by Wayne Schofield. All these different classes make up quite a complex championship, of course. Class victory, if you win enough times over the course of the year, is even better perhaps than winning overall races, because the challenge of winning overall races is that you obviously get the pride of coming home before everyone else. But even if you don't, winning your class enough times over the season means even more. That's what championships are made of in the world of the Britcar Production Cup. But Mark Cunningham, you have to take your hat off to him here today. It's not easy to drive alone. Just ask Michael Simmons, sitting in the pits. He knows what it's like, and so does this boy, Alan James, up the inside of the Intersport Mini, having a great final race for the Jazz. Synchro are putting this baby to bed at the end of this race, and it's getting one final showing, and what a showing it's having. Out of the final turn and pulling away from the Intersport Mini, just behind we've got Danny Innes in the Redline Seat, an invitational car, as is the car behind it, Lawrence Wiltshire, the GT Academy Supremo, driving the Nissan 370Z that the boys at the GT Academy will be racing with at boot camp here at Silverstone later in the year. Perhaps a potential Britcar champion of the future in the making there. Never mind the youngsters, what about Lawrence? He's driving brilliantly up the inside of Danny Innes at Village. And through the link, he's got the legs on, this boy. Brilliant driving from both of them. But at the moment, the Nissan has the upper hand. It's the only one in the field, and they're certainly driving the socks off it right now. Down the Hanger Straight and past the slowing Honda Jazz. It hasn't got a technical problem. That's just the difference in the classes. 4 different classes in Britcar Production Cup racing. So it doesn't matter what your budget, doesn't matter what your technical expertise, there should well be something for you. If you want to run a car in the Britcar Production Cup, you could well be in for a shout at the championship. In comes Andy Thompson in the Westlake Seat. So perhaps an issue here, or they just want a new fresh pair of boots. And on the inside now comes Mike Robinson, down the inside of Danny Innes, who seems to be going backwards down the field. He's an invitational car, of course, the Redline Seat, and still with those flapping panels. The mudguards there not really guarding anything as it flaps on the left side of the car. Meanwhile, race leader, 23, Mark Cunningham, still having a great dice with Edward Cockill in the SG Racing Seat. Out of the final turn to begin another lap. And this really is where the battle is for the overall race victory. Some fantastic dueling. This is the reigning champions, of course. Class 2, as they were last year, racing against Class 1. This is for the overall victory. They are not too bothered about their class now because they're a long way in front. Red line tuning, battles it out with Fold Sport as Simon Mason closes in on the back of Danny Innes. This looks like another on-track position lost, and here come the leaders. Two different classes, pretty much similar cars though. Seat Leon Supercopas, both of them. Cunningham in Class 1, Cockill in Class 2, and this is for the overall victory. This shows you the level of competition between these two, and they've got a huge gaggle of cars in front of them that they'll need to get past to lap. The first of them is going to be the Vauxhall of Wayne Schofield. Up the inside comes Mason on Danny Innes, and watch out boys, you've got the leaders of the race dicing for victory behind you. Whatever you do, don't get in the way. This is the 37, Henry Dawes of the Track Talk Seat, battling it out with Lawrence Wiltshire in the Nissan, and they've both got Alan James in the Honda to sort them out as well. Here comes Cunningham. He's already got past Innes. Now he needs to get past Mason without losing too much time. Cockill, I think, has already made the pass on Innes as well. So down the hanger straight, he cannot afford to sit behind Simon Mason's Fold Sport too long. Down towards Stowe Corner, and that traffic has actually given him a bit of an advantage now over Edward Cockill. He's been able to pull out a bit of a gap, and at this point in the race, that's absolutely critical. So Ed Cockill in the HE Daniels Motorsport Seat doing everything he can to keep tabs on Mark Cunningham, but he has driven in absolute dominant form. He lost it after a little bit of contact with Nigel Moore towards the start of the race at this corner club, but his recovery drive has been nothing short of magnificent out of the final turn, and he's pushing on down the hanger straight to begin the closing laps of this race. He's got a bit of a space here between himself and Edward Cockill. The advantage is still strong, and the boys at SG Racing will be willing him on. Come on Mark, you can do it, boy. Dad Peter would be proud if he was sharing the car with him, but sadly this weekend he is not. Here comes Mike Robinson on the inside of Henry Dawes to put a position on him. So Professional World Expo takes Track Talk at this precise moment down the hanger straight and into Stowe. Another good recovery showing from Johnson and Robinson, with Mike bringing the car home in very good condition at the moment. Now Ed Cockill has actually made up some ground here on Mark Cunningham. He's a lot closer than he was a couple of laps ago. Pushing hard, having just got past Mason in the Fold Sport car. Cunningham leads it, but it's not looking very safe. There is Cockill right behind, just a few car lengths in it. As he comes out of Stowe Corner, time is always going to be very tight. Has Ed Cockill done enough to close the gap? Well, he's done enough to close the gap, but the race is still going to be very close between them. Thumbs up, keep pushing. Whatever you do, don't say die. Three Seats in three very different circumstances. Oh, and off goes Cockill. Cockill runs wide. He runs deep at Abbey, and that's going to cost him some time. And it's certainly going to throw his rhythm out of whack. So, advantage Cunningham. 66 BMW of Tim Adams. The Daymax run car continues on. A nice showing for them, considering this is a very new start and a new car to them for the 2013 campaign. But Cunningham, that last little mistake from Cockill, look, it's dropped him right back in the order. And we watch to see Cunningham. That's it, the checkered flag comes out, and a brilliant drive from Mark Cunningham. The one-man band brings it home. Harry and Edward Cockill will cross the line in second place in the HE Daniels Motorsport Seat, but what a drive from Mark Cunningham. That's what happens when you push it as a one-man standing. Brilliant drive and some great sportsmanship out there from the two boys. They come round side by side, handshakes in the air as it were, thumbs up, and a brilliant drive from Mark Cunningham. That just shows you how much skill is required to win a Britcar Production Cup race. Two very similar cars, but two different classes, and it's the Class 1 car of Mark Cunningham for SG Racing that stands head and shoulders above the rest. Dad would be proud. Peter smiling wider than anybody, I bet, at the end of that one. Harry and Edward Cockill come home second and win Class 2 in the process. Barclay Dougal, a brilliant third overall for the Invitational BMW. Looking back to the other class winners, in 12th position, Alan James in the Synchro Motorsport Honda Jazz with a Class 4 victory. That is a brilliant result, and what a way to bow out. In Class 3, 13th overall, Nick and Tim Adams bring the Daymax BMW home for a Class 3 win. But what about that then, and what a race.
I'm joined by Harry and Edward. Congratulations, both of you. Were there any worrying moments out there?
Not really. We struggled a bit with the back markers at the beginning, especially with the sports cars being out with us. It was quite hard work, but to be honest, we were just struggling for tyres at the end, but that was about it. Apart from that, it was an easy drive, really.
An easy drive isn't something you always hear. What about the preparation for this race?
Yeah, lots of hard work. We haven't had much time in the car, to be fair, compared to everybody else.
How come?
Well, we picked it up. We didn't sign a deal until the week of Donington, the first round. Picked it up on the Friday on the way up there, jumped straight into qualifying, not knowing where we're going. So we had a good day yesterday testing, and we'll see a good finish up today.
I'm joined by our winner, Mark. Mark, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Can you talk us through the race, and were there any worrying moments?
Yeah, lots. Like the first lap, we all went into the first corner and it all got a bit tight. Everybody seemed to be going in every direction other than the circuit. So once we got that back on control, we got back in rights, and then we got to the last corner coming onto the start and finish straight, and I got a hit from the rear and ended up sort of pointing backwards, which probably wasn't quite great. So then that managed to just keep my foot in and pull it straight again. So lucky escape there. And then it was just a racing attrition then, really. I mean, the Cockills were obviously knew they were safe in class 2, so we didn't really fight each other. We just we know we're in different classes, so we let each other sort of go their own way, and you know they were great today. You know, we just paced ourselves because it was hard to keep the car in condition. You know, the tyres were going off quite dramatically towards the end, so you know it wouldn't have lasted much longer. Let's put it that way, I don't think. But it's good. I'm absolutely over the moon today.
Start with a spin, end with a win. What a showman, Mark Cunningham, and it puts the Cunninghams into third position in the championship. But Harry and Ed Cockill still leading the way then, just 2 points clear. Plenty still to come. We've got a second Britcar Production Sportscar race.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back to Silverstone for the final race of the day, the second of the Britcar Production Sportscar Series races. It starts as they finished at the end of race 1, so Chrissy Palmer and Alan Broad on the front row of the grid. Ryan Sefferty and Dave Whitmore in third position, with Owen Mildenhall and Richard Ocock in fourth position. Gillett and Gorton are fifth, Tyres Hurst and Hooper are sixth, with Marcus Vivian, Richard Bennett and Guillaume Grochet, those latter three hoping they actually make the finish this time. In Bennett and Grochet's case, they didn't even make it to the end of the first lap, barely made it through the first corner. So hopefully the eyes will be smiling on them as Lady Luck plays them a few cards in their favour, although Chrissy Palmer will be hoping that Bennett stays out of the top three once again. Bennett cleaned up last time out, and Grochet has not repaired the car in time to make the grid, so he's not going to be making any progress. Grochet sitting on the sidelines as a spectator. Out in front goes Chrissy Palmer. Broad has already dropped back a few positions, and it looks like a Mazda Motors UK outhouse here as Mildenhall and Ticehurst go wheel to wheel. Careful, boys, your teammates. You don't want to take each other off on the first lap. And Chrissy Palmer going right onto the inside line at the Hangar Straight, obviously trying to use the damp and greasy conditions to get some good surface position in the tyres. And here comes Bennett in the number 7 Porsche from 8th on the grid. He's already up to 4th position behind the Mazda Motors UK Mazdas, and that's what Chrissy Palmer was fearing. 5th position then in the 87, Ryan Sefferty in the MGA Mazda, as the two invitational Mazda Motors UK cars go wheel to wheel. Now Ticehurst has the upper hand over Mildenhall, and watch out, boys, here comes Bennett. Double winner at Donington Park, and he'll want to salvage something out of this weekend. He's up to 3rd position, and he is the leading Class 1 already. Up into 3rd position, you could still see the battle scars of that first race with the door completely battered in of Bennett as he pushes onto the tail of Ticehurst now, up the inside. That was nice and easy, and it looks like it is actually starting to rain a little bit more again. There was some rain earlier on between these two races, which means, of course, that the track conditions are very slippery as Ticehurst is not prepared to bow down and take it. Richard Bennett trying to hold him off, and a little bit of a slip through Village. Oh, he almost loses the place. Richard Bennett under pressure here, having binned it at the first corner in the first race. Now Ticehurst back up the inside. Take that, sir. I couldn't care less if you're in a faster Porsche. You've got to do it properly on the racetrack. Brilliant stuff then, as up the inside goes Mark Ticehurst in the Mazda Motors UK car. Bennett gets him back on the hanger straight, but what a nice little moment there. These two Mazda Motors UK cars really showing brilliant consistency and pace, and a huge amount of energy as well in their very first meeting here at Silverstone. Bennett then up into second place, and some might say the question is when rather than if he'll close on Chrissy Palmer. But Chrissy rather enjoying his day at the front of the field, nearly spinning through turn one, through Farm, flat on the throttle, up towards Village, and keeping the lead of this race very nicely. Where is Richard Bennett? There he is in the number 7, pushing very hard indeed, trying to get the most out of this car. He wants to salvage a win from this weekend, and that's not going to be a very easy position for him. It's certainly not going to be dominant. He's struggled in the early stages of the race to get on terms with Chrissy Palmer. No lean driver. Now there's Marcus Vivian, having recovered, to battle it out with Alan Broad, the man who started on the front row in the 86 Porsche. That last race very much a race of attrition, and it was Alan Broad that had done the very best to come home second over all of the production sports cars, but now that's the man in second place in the second race. Richard Bennett closing in, and there is Chrissy Palmer in the distance. So Richard Bennett is closing in, and just as Marcus Vivian makes his move on Alan Broad at the Village corner. Very nicely done. Up towards the link, and the single Ginetta in this championship throwing its weight in there against 5 Mazdas and 3 Porsches, and the Ginetta doing a very brave job. Sadly, we couldn't see the third of the Porsches out there, Guillaume Grochet, the car run by Newbridge. You might wonder, where's Paul Morovic? Well, he's not here either. He's abroad, unfortunately. And that just gives Alan Broad the opportunity to show exactly how good he is when he's on it in a Porsche, as he makes his move back past Marcus Vivian. I have a feeling these two could be swapping positions for the remainder of this race. Back on the inside, it looked like Vivian got him back again. No, not quite. But the Ginetta G20 really starting to show his hand through the Vale and out of the final turn. They will charge down the main straight once again, and who's going to get the best traction out of the corner? This is easily the best scrap we've got on track, as Vivian in the tiny little Ginetta, the baby of the field if you like, races against the might of the Porsche down towards the first corner, and the Porsche may have the legs on the straight, but the Ginetta has better mechanical grip through the corners, and that's where he can gain the advantage. Look, the Porsche drives away from him on the straight, but through the corners the Ginetta is mighty. Brilliant performance here from Vivian. Can he get him? Yes, he's got him on the way out of Village. Brilliantly done there from Vivian. And Alan Broad is having to just rely on the pure horsepower of the Porsche. This is brilliant, swapping places throughout the 45 minutes, these two. And it's great to see what they're capable of. Down the hanger straight they go once again, and you can bet to see Broad, here he comes then, power down once again, and he disappears from view as Richard Bennett in the number 7. Still not close enough to Chrissy Palmer really to challenge here, and he's got the number 5 Mazda Motors UK car of Ticehurst and Hooper, really on the pace there, trying to get close enough to them. There's Alan Broad in the Porsche in between, and Chrissy Palmer still trying to run away from Richard Bennett in the 7. Mark Ticehurst and David Hooper sharing the Mazda Motors UK car number 5, with Owen Mildenhall and Richard Orcock in the 55 car. Still pushing on into the Vale. Chrissy Palmer really pushing it. You could see just how hard he was working into the left-hander and into the right-hander. He's also slipping around a bit. Now that's the 87 car of Sefferty and Whitmore, the Mazda MGA car, moving up nice and dry towards the closing stages of the race, thankfully, for Dave Whitmore to get on terms with Orcock and Hooper in the Mazda Motors UK cars. They're having a nice friendly dice, a bit of friendly fire, if you like, between the Mazda Motors UK boys. I really do hope to see them for the remainder of the season, because if this is what they're like on their debut, just imagine what they'll be like once they've got a bit of experience under their belt. They could be challenging for overall victories. Brilliant stuff from the four men who have really dazzled on Mazda Motors UK's debut in the Britcar Production Cup, and long may we see them in the 2013 campaign. Up the inside has the 55 of Orcutt, moves up past David Hooper in the 5. They swap positions once again. A great battle, these two, really dueling in magnificent synchronisation. Synchronised passing moves, as it seems, as they go through the link and down the hanger straight once more. Chrissy Palmer and Richard Bennett, that's the talk of the town. We should really see how that battle's developing, but you can see once again the drivers moving to the right hand side of the hanger straight as they head down towards the right hander for Stowe, just trying to maintain some cooling in the tyres and the damper line, just to give you a little bit more grip through the corners when you're on wet tyres, which they will have been, of course, at the start of the race. But as they come out of Stowe Corner down to the Vale, it looks like the 55 has got the legs on the 5 at the moment in these two cars. Interesting to see just how these cars have performed in the first race of the championship for them. And Richard Bennett in the 7. Now, has he caught Chrissy Palmer? Tried to look around and see where he is. This is where the Porsche can really break into its stride. It has a pure horsepower advantage on the Mazda. There is Palmer, still out in front. Chrissy Palmer, the young gun, driving the legs off this Mazda and really demonstrating pure driving skill here, holding off the attentions of Richard Bennett in the 7. We all thought it was going to be a Bennett whitewash once again, and Chrissy Palmer has done it again. 2 out of 2 for Chrissy Palmer. So Bennett dominated Donington, Palmer wraps up Silverstone. Richard Bennett recovers in a very battered machine to finish second in the Production Sportscar Series second race. That's the best he can hope for after the start to the race he had in race 1. But the talk of the town here at Silverstone, there can only be one winner, and a magnificent performance from Chrissy Palmer. Wave your arm in the air in jubilation, sir. You have deserved every single second of it. Just when we thought it was going to be another Bennett domination, Chrissy Palmer said, actually no, I'm just as good a driver. 2 wins from Chrissy Palmer. Richard Bennett comes home in second. Ryan Sefferty and Dave Whitmore share the MGA Mazda for third position. And that was a fantastic day's racing action from the sports cars at Silverstone.
Congratulations, Chrissy. How did you find that race?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, the car was brilliant. The track was amazing. Even like the greasiness was just perfect, really, for that car. I don't think we would have won if it hadn't done, to be honest. The Porsche is quite a lot quicker in a straight line. Yeah. So, no, I'm really happy with the race so far.
Do you know what? You're the first person to say that all the conditions out there worked in your favour. Was it really that great for you?
It was absolutely amazing. I mean, I've always loved the wet weather anyway, and that was just my conditions, really. So I took advantage and made the most of it, really.
Richard, first of all, congratulations. But we are looking at a very poorly car. Tell us first of all what happened in the first race.
First corner mayhem. I think I managed to do 4 seconds of the first race. We had a tap actually on the other corner as we went around the first right-hander, and that destroyed the wheel and the tyre. And then another car came round, a spun, and then we got hit in the side, which obviously finished our first race straight away. But the Hoffman's guys who look after the car for me have just worked miracles to get me back out in this race. She's not quite perfect.
I was going to say, is it just superficial wounds? Because you've done great on this race.
We were a little bit down on our lap times, but underneath, I mean, it's all bolted together nice and tight. But it's very hard to set the geometries up in here, particularly when you've got very short time scales.
Well, another fantastic day here at Silverstone for the Production Cup and Production Sportscar Series. Join us next time from Rockingham for more of the same fantastic racing.